What does a Canadian education cost without access to Canada? That's the question international students are contemplating during this new normal. Many of them studying across time zones, logging on for class in countries as far as China, calling on schools to lower tuition. Tuition for University of Toronto student Louisa Helwig has a price tag of 60 grand annually.
International tuition is very high at U of T.
But this year she's saving $20,000 in fees because she's taking part-time classes remotely from Germany.
I'm struggling a little bit with online learning. It's harder for me to retain the information. It takes longer for me to get through lectures, to take notes and everything, just because of the way of instruction.
In Ontario alone, over the last 5 years, international student fees have gone up by an average of 8% per year for undergraduates and 4% for graduate students. By contrast, domestic tuition has actually dropped or stagnated in recent years. There have been calls from international students to reduce tuition in light of this pandemic and remote learning, but some say there's been an increase instead.
Last year, my tuition was 54, but now I'm paying 56K, so it's 2K extra.
According to data from the federal government, there were 721,000 international students back in 2018 who spent over $21 billion on school. One expert says Canada also benefits from attracting what she calls ideal immigrants who have Canadian credentials.
We're the third largest in terms of hosts for international students worldwide. They definitely bring in a lot of revenue, and we are very dependent. We're getting more and more dependent on their tuition. It's becoming scary, I would say.
International students at some of these schools make up a bigger percentage, but there's been a decline in enrollment this year with revenue losses in the millions. But COVID isn't the only factor to have impacted enrollments in the past.
When we had issues with Saudi Arabia, the Saudi Arabian government pulled out Saudi Arabian students, and thousands of students left Canada. And with that, several universities lost lots of revenue, like in $1 million revenues.
This dependence can be detrimental to schools who've had to make up lost revenue, according to Rupa Desai Trilokekar, who's calling for more investments in colleges and universities.
I think it's very irresponsible of us and our governments to allow this kind of dependence on a source that is external, that's volatile, that opens our institutions to a lot of different risks. It doesn't bode well for a rich country like ours.
And by the way, about 80,000 international students are set to graduate from Canadian schools this year. Now, some of these students I've been speaking with tell me their winter semesters will also be mainly online. In Toronto, I'm Faiza Amin for City News.